There are seasons in life when God will put you in a place where the noise dies down, the crowd disappears, and the phone stops ringing. Don't mistake it for abandonment, it's alignment. Don't confuse your loneliness with his absence, because sometimes the greatest chapters of your destiny are written in silence when it's just you, your tears, and your God. What you call isolation calls preparation. What you call rejection, God calls redirection. And I came to tell somebody today, your alone journey is not a punishment. It's a pathway to purpose, to clarity, to destiny, and to strength you never knew you had. God is not punishing you. He is positioning you. There are moments in life when you look around and see empty seats where you thought friends would be. You send the message and nobody replies. You look for the hand to hold and it's not there. You go home at night and the silence is louder than the noise outside. And the enemy starts whispering, you're alone. You've been forgotten. God has walked away from you. But let me break the lie right now. Being alone is not the same as being abandoned. Just because people walked out doesn't mean God walked out. In fact, sometimes he let them leave so you could discover that he never will. You are not forsaken. You are being focused. You are not abandoned. You are being aligned with something greater. Think about Joseph, thrown into a pit by his own brothers, betrayed by blood. It looked like the end. It looked like loneliness. But in that pit, he was still in the plan of God. When he was in prison, forgotten by men, he was still remembered by heaven. Sometimes you'll go through seasons where the people who promise to have your back vanish. That's when you find out God is the only one who never breaks his word. Daily life teaches us this too. You can be surrounded by 100 people and still feel empty. One whisper from God in your alone place can fill you with more strength than a stadium of cheering voices. Let me give you a simple picture. When you charge your phone, you don't do it in the middle of a busy street. You don't lay it down in the crowd. You put it aside, away from the noise, connected to a power source. That's what God is doing with you. He pulls you out of the crowd, not to punish you, but to plug you into his power. He knows you can't hear his still small voice in the chaos, so he clears the room to get your attention. Don't cry about the empty chair at your table. Rejoice that heaven has made room to sit with you. We misinterpret solitude as punishment because we've been taught to measure our worth by who claps for us, who texts us, who affirms us. But some of the greatest breakthroughs happen when nobody sees. The seed is planted in dirt, in darkness, where no one claps, no one applauds, no one even notices. And yet, in that unseen place, something powerful is growing. That's you in this season. God has you hidden, covered, surrounded by his presence, but to the natural eye, it looks like you're just alone. Think about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. The disciples fell asleep. He prayed alone. But in that solitude, he was strengthened to face the cross. Your solitude is not a curse. It is your strengthening ground. The moments when you cry alone in your car, when you sit alone at your kitchen table wondering how you'll make it through, that's where God is pouring oil into you, preparing you for the battles ahead. Some of you have been through heartbreaks, friendships that ended without explanation, family that turned their back on you, and you thought it meant you were unwanted. Could it be that God allowed the rejection to show you that you're not defined by who accepts you? Could it be that he let the door close so you would finally realize he is the only door that never shuts? Rejection is often protection, and separation is often elevation. When the phone stopped ringing, when the invitations dried up, when the spotlight dimmed, that wasn't the end. That was the beginning of God's private conversation with you. Look at nature. The eagle teaches us this principle. When it is time for the young eagle to learn to fly, the mother eagle stirs up the nest, removes the soft feathers, makes it uncomfortable, even pushes the eaglet out. To the eaglet, it looks like abandonment. But it is not abandonment, it is empowerment. The push was not rejection, it was redirection. And some of you have been pushed out of familiar nests. You've been forced into uncomfortable places. It is not because God abandoned you. It is because he knew your wings would never spread if you stayed where you were. Every time you thought you were left behind, God was already ahead of you. When you sat crying on your bed, He was standing guard around your future. When you thought your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling, He was writing answers you hadn't seen yet. The absence of people does not equal the absence of God. He is the friend who sticks closer than a brother. He is the one who said, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." And if He said it, you can take it to the bank. So stop measuring God's presence by people's presence. Stop confusing their exit with His silence. Some of the most powerful seasons of your life will look like the loneliest, but in truth, they are the holiest, because it's in the absence of man that you learn the presence of God. And when you finally understand that alone doesn't mean abandoned, you'll stop mourning over who left and start rejoicing over who never leaves. There are seasons when God enrolls you in a class with no classmates, no audience, and no applause. It's a classroom where the lights are dim, the room is quiet, and the only voice you hear is His. Solitude is God's classroom. It is the place where He strips away the noise of opinions, the pressure of performance, and the distractions of the crowd, so He can teach you lessons you cannot learn in company. Some truths are too sacred to be shared in public. They must be whispered in private. And that's why you find yourself in moments where no one understands you. No one seems to notice your effort. No one is there to affirm you, because God has signed you up for a curriculum of transformation that can only be taught in the silence. Think about how a seed grows. Nobody claps when it is pushed deep into the soil. Nobody gathers around to celebrate the process happening underground. Yet, in that unseen, quiet, dark space, the seed is cracking, stretching, and becoming something new. If the seed had a voice, it might cry out, "I'm buried, I'm forgotten." But in reality, it's not buried, it's planted. Solitude feels like being buried, but it's really where you're planted for growth. God hides you in the soil of silence because He is developing roots that will hold you when storms come. Life itself teaches us that not all learning happens in the classroom of people. A child doesn't learn to walk by being carried everywhere. At some point, they wobble, they fall, they cry, but in that moment of struggle, strength is built. Likewise, when God places you in solitude, He allows you to stumble, to wrestle, to question, because it is in the struggle of silence that strength is born. Just as the gym builds muscle through resistance, solitude builds faith through stillness. You don't see the results at first, but every tear you cry, every night you spend in prayer, every moment you sit in silence with God is shaping something powerful within you. Moses learned this principle. Raised in the palace, surrounded by the best of Egypt, he had influence and training. But it wasn't until he was alone in the wilderness, tending sheep, God revealed Himself through a burning bush. You see, there are some revelations you'll never receive in a crowded palace. They only come when you're standing barefoot on holy ground in the middle of nowhere. God's classroom is often the wilderness where no titles, no followers, no fame can distract you. It's where He prepares you for assignments you're not even aware of yet. Daily life offers us another image. Consider a musician. The concert might last an hour, but the preparation takes months of practice in empty rooms, repeating scales, rehearsing melodies with no one watching. Excellence of the stage is built in the obscurity of practice. Your solitude is your rehearsal space. The world may not see the tears, the prayers, the late nights, but God does. And when He finally unveils you, they will marvel at the strength, the wisdom, the anointing you carry. But what they don't know is that it was built in the unseen classroom of solitude. Even technology shows us this truth. Before your phone updates its system, it often goes offline. It disconnects, it restarts, and for a moment it seems unusable. But when it powers back on, it's faster, stronger, more capable. That's what God does with you. He takes you offline, away from the noise, away from the constant scrolling of people's opinions, and He downloads new strength, new vision, new clarity into your spirit. And when you come back, you're operating on a level you didn't even know was inside of you. Look at Paul. After his dramatic encounter with Christ on the Damascus Road, you would think he would immediately start preaching. But Scripture says he went into Arabia for years, alone, hidden, separated. Why? Because before he could minister to nations, he had to first be taught in the solitude of God's classroom. Some of you wonder why your dreams haven't unfolded yet, why your prayers haven't manifested, why the door hasn't opened. It's because you're still in class. God is still teaching, still molding, still writing his lessons on the tablet of your heart. Even in our daily routines, solitude teaches us think about cooking. A meal may take hours to prepare, with chopping, seasoning, stirring, simmering in silence before it is ready to be served. Nobody praises the process, but everyone enjoys the product. That's your life. You may feel like you're in the back kitchen, hidden away, simmering in the fire of trials, but when the time is right, what God has been preparing will be served before those who once doubted you. Solitude is the kitchen of destiny. Solitude also teaches patience. In traffic, when you're alone in your car with nothing but the sound of your thoughts, that's when God reminds you that not all delays are denials. Waiting rooms in hospitals, empty offices after hours, lonely walks in the park, all these moments of solitude are opportunities for God to whisper truths that you would miss if you were surrounded by constant noise. He speaks in the still small voice, and the still small voice requires stillness. So if you find your solitude, don't rush to escape. Don't curse the silence. Lean into it, because that quiet place is where God does his deepest work. It's the classroom where he breaks you, then builds you. The training ground where he teaches you how to depend on him alone. It's the secret place where he writes lessons that will become the testimonies you share tomorrow. Purpose has never been birthed in comfort zones. Purpose doesn't bloom in crowded places where every voice has an opinion and every hand tries to shape you. Purpose requires separation. There will come a time when God himself will pull you away from what is familiar, from the circle you thought you needed, from the noise you thought was necessary, because the weight of your destiny cannot be carried with excess baggage. Separation feels like loss, but in reality, it is alignment. God knows who and what cannot travel with you into the next season, so he cuts it away. And the cutting may hurt, but the cutting is holy. Moses experienced this truth. He was raised as the prince of Egypt, surrounded by privilege and power. But before God could use him to deliver his people, Moses had to be separated from the palace. He had to leave behind what looked like luxury to embrace a wilderness season where his only companions were sheep in silence. It was there alone God revealed himself through the burning bush. The revelation of purpose didn't come in the crowd of Egypt. It came in the solitude of separation. Sometimes the very thing you're clinging to is what's blocking you from hearing the burning bush moment in your own life. In daily life, separation shows up everywhere. Think about athletes. To train for greatness, they separate themselves from certain habits. While others sleep, they rise early. While others indulge, they discipline their bodies. While the crowd enjoys comfort, they embrace sacrifice. Why? Because purpose demands it. You cannot run a marathon while carrying everything and everyone. You must strip down, separate from the unnecessary weight, and focus. Purpose requires the discipline of saying no to good things so you can say yes to the right thing. Look at Abraham. God told him, leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. The promise could not be fulfilled until he obeyed the call of separation. He had to step away from the familiar to step into the future. Some of you are wondering why the promise hasn't manifested yet. Could it be that you're still holding on to what God told you to leave? You cannot step into the land of promise while clinging to the land of comfort. Even in the world of technology, we see this lesson. When a device is being reset for a major update, it must shut down. It separates from its normal functioning so that it can be upgraded. For a moment, it looks like it's not working, but when it reboots, operates on a higher level. That's what separation feels like. People may say you've shut down. They may not understand why you've disconnected. God is rebooting you for a higher purpose. Purpose also requires separation in relationships. Not everyone can go where God is taking you. Think about Jesus. Before performing his greatest miracles, he often sent the crowd away. When he went to heal Jairus' daughter, he put out the doubters. He went to pray in Gethsemane. He took only a few disciples deeper with him. Why? Because not everyone has the faith to accompany you to your destiny. Sometimes you have to lovingly but firmly separate from voices of doubt, from relationships that drain, from people who cannot see what God has placed in you. It's not rejection, it's protection. God protects your purpose by separating you from those who would poison it. Daily life teaches us again through the example of cooking. When preparing a fine dish, a chef separates certain ingredients from others until the right moment. Some flavors can only be added at the right stage, or they will ruin the recipe. In the same way, God separates you from certain places, people, opportunities, because the timing is not right. If He allowed everything to mix at once, it would spoil what He is preparing. Separation is His way of preserving the purity of your purpose. Even farmers understand this. During harvest, the wheat must be separated from the chaff. Both grow together in the field, but when the time comes, a process of separation takes place. The valuable cannot remain attached to the worthless. In the same way, your life may look like it's going through a shaking, but the shaking is God's way of separating what is real from what is fake, what is permanent from what is temporary, what is essential from what is unnecessary. Purpose cannot be fulfilled in the crowd because the crowd dilutes focus. That is why visionaries, inventors, and leaders often testify of seasons where they walked alone, misunderstood, criticized, or isolated. It was in those times of separation that clarity came. You might lose friends, lose opportunities, even lose comfort. What you gain is clarity of who you are and what you are called to do. Separation sharpens identity. Separation amplifies focus. Separation strips away the noise so that the voice of God can ring loud and clear. The truth is, separation is not a sign of abandonment. It's a sign of destiny. The eagle does not soar with the flock. It soars alone in higher places. To go higher, you cannot stay crowded. God separates you because He knows your wings were not made for cages. Your vision was not designed for clutter. Your purpose cannot survive in compromise. What looks like isolation is actually preparation for elevation. What looks like the slowest, loneliest, most hidden season of your life is often the very season that sets you up for the fastest acceleration. Your alone season is not wasted time. It is the launch pad for what God is about to do next. A seed does not sprout in the sunlight first. It spends time buried, seen, covered by dirt. To the naked eye, it looks like nothing is happening, but under the soil, something powerful is breaking forth. The roots are digging deep, the shell is cracking, and the process of transformation is taking place. That hidden time in the soil is what allows the seed to suddenly break through the ground and shoot upward. The season of being unseen always precedes the season of sudden acceleration. Think about Joseph again. For years, he was rejected, betrayed, and forgotten. From the pit to the prison, his life seemed like a cycle of delays and setbacks. But in one single day, one encounter with Pharaoh, he was elevated from prisoner to prime minister. All the lonely nights, all the silent tears, all the misunderstood dreams were not wasted. They were preparation for the moment of acceleration. What looked like delay was actually God's setting up the perfect timing. That's what happens when you endure the alone season. God compresses years of struggle into moments of breakthrough. Daily life reminds us of this principle as well. Consider the bow and arrow. When an archer pulls back the arrow, it looks like it's going in the wrong direction, away from the target. It is pulled back into tension, into stillness, into a place of waiting. But the pullback is not punishment, it is preparation for release. The greater the pullback, the faster and farther the arrow flies. That is what your alone season feels like. You are being pulled back, separated, isolated, but when God releases you, you will move with a speed that surprises even those who counted you out. Look at technology. Before a rocket launches into space, it spends months, sometimes years in preparation, hidden in warehouses, surrounded by engineers, unseen by the public eye. Tests, trials, adjustments, delays happen in private, but when launch day arrives, what once looked like delay transforms into speed, thrust, and elevation beyond imagination. Your alone season is your hangar, your preparation lab. People may wonder where you are, why nothing seems to be happening, but they don't realize that you are being fitted for launch, and when God says it's time, your takeoff will be undeniable. Even in relationships, we can see this truth. Sometimes God keeps you single, keeps you apart, keeps you away from the wrong circles because he's forgotten you, but because he's preserving you. The cocoon is not glamorous, but it is necessary. The caterpillar is hidden, enclosed, cut off from what it once knew. To the outside world, it looks like nothing is happening, but inside, transformation is taking place. And when it emerges, it doesn't crawl, it flies. The cocoon season is an acceleration season in disguise. Without that alone stage, the butterfly would never have wings. Consider students who spend years in study while others are out enjoying life. They sacrifice social events, endure long nights in the library, work in silence while nobody notices. But when graduation day arrives, when the degree is in their hands, they step into opportunities and platforms that others can only dream of. The years of solitude accelerate into open doors that would never have come without the discipline of the hidden season. Sometimes what feels like you're behind is actually God pulling you ahead of the crowd. The Bible shows us again in the life of David. Anointed as king while still a shepherd boy, he spent years alone in the fields writing songs, fighting lions and bears, and being overlooked by his own family. Those hidden years in the wilderness accelerated him into victory over Goliath. While others trembled, David had strength no one understood because it was forged in solitude. His alone season gave him the momentum to slay giants and step into kingship. Even simple things like cooking reveal this truth. When you bake bread, the dough must be left alone to rise, covered, hidden, seemingly idle. But in that time, the yeast works, the dough expands, and when it's placed in the oven, it transforms quickly. If you skip the alone rising time, the bread never reaches its full potential. What looks like inactivity is actually expansion. Your alone season is where you rise, where God stretches you. So when the heat comes, you don't collapse. Nature itself testifies to this. Bamboo takes years to break the ground. For seasons, it looks like nothing is happening while other plants sprout quickly. But beneath the soil, bamboo is spreading roots wide and deep. When it finally shoots up, it can grow several feet in a matter of weeks. That's acceleration. Others may sprout quickly but fade, while you, after years of being unseen, will rise with unstoppable momentum. So don't despise the stillness, the silence, the seasons of solitude. Waiting room is the runway. The pullback is the setup. The cocoon is the launching pad. Your alone season is not holding you back. It is preparing you to soar farther, faster, and higher than you ever imagined. There comes a moment in every journey where you must decide whether solitude will break you or make you. You've walked through pits like Joseph, wildernesses like Moses, cocoons like the butterfly, and silence like David in the fields. You've endured the pain of people leaving, the sting of rejection, the uncertainty of hidden seasons. But I came to tell you today, none of it was wasted. Every tear you cried in the midnight hour watered the soil of your destiny. Every lonely step was carving the path for your acceleration. Every unanswered question was heaven's way of pointing you back to the only answer who never changes. The world may look at you and see isolation. Heaven looks at you and sees incubation. You are not abandoned. You are being authored. You are not rejected. You are being redirected. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. And when God gets finished with what he's doing in your solitude, you won't just walk into destiny. You'll run into it with a fire nobody can put out. Think about it. Diamonds don't shine until they've been cut. Gold doesn't glitter until it's been refined in fire. Oil doesn't flow until the olive has been crushed. And your life is no different. It felt like breaking was actually making. What felt like crushing was actually producing. Pain you went through is the price tag for the purpose you will walk in. You thought it was the end. It was the beginning of something greater than you imagined. You've got to shift your perspective. Stop asking, why am I alone? And start declaring, I am alone because I'm chosen. Stop crying, nobody stood by me. And start proclaiming, God himself is standing with me. The absence of people does not mean the absence of power. The crowd may have walked out, but the King of Kings walked in. And if God be for you, who can be against you? If heaven has endorsed you, why worry about who has ignored you? This is your time to rise from the ashes of rejection. This is your season to wipe your tears and square your shoulders. This is your moment to say, what I lost does not define me, but what God is birthing in me will transform me. You are stronger than you think, braver than you believe, more anointed than you realize. Your scars are not signs of shame. They are badges of survival. Your solitude is not a sign of weakness. It is proof of your strength. So lift your head high. Walk out of your cave like Elijah. Step out of your wilderness like Moses. Come out of your prison like Joseph. Break free from your cocoon like the butterfly. Because what's in front of you is greater than what's behind you. Your best days are not in your past. They are waiting for you to show up with the wisdom you gained in the silence. And when you arrive, when the doors swing open, when the platform appears, when the opportunity shines, don't forget this season. Don't forget the lonely nights, the unanswered calls, the silent prayers. Don't despise the very solitude that taught you to lean on God when nobody else was there. For it is that solitude that will keep you grounded when success tries to sweep you off your feet. You are proof that solitude does not kill. It cultivates. You are proof that rejection does not end you. It launches you. You are proof that silence is not empty. It's full of God's whispers. And when you finally walk into the fullness of your calling, the very people who thought you were finished will have to admit you were just getting started. The voices of doubt will fade. The critics will go silent. The naysayers will choke on their words. Glory of God will shine so brightly on you that no one will be able to deny the hand of the Lord upon your life. Because when God accelerates you, no man can stop you. When God raises you, no hand can pull you down. When God opens the door, no devil in hell can shut it. So stand strong. Be bold. Take courage and declare with everything in you, I am not abandoned. I am appointed. I am not rejected. I am redirected. I am not broken. I am being built. And my solitude has been my secret weapon, my training ground, my divine classroom. From here, the only way left is up. From here, acceleration is inevitable. From here, destiny is calling my name, and I am ready to answer.